Tompo, what stands out for you when we look at those stats there?
I'll say the number of passes that Mamelodi Sundowns had to make in this one match. I think we can't stress this enough because as Sundowns we play with a lot of passing and the midfielders are very vital for this team. Yeah, it was a Champions League match where you have to defend with the ball, and they did that. They showed that they've matured in this competition. They know the demands, and I think that was a very, very disciplined performance.
Doc, you must be happy with the possession because you were saying during the game that possession is also part of defending and they must keep the ball and frustrate the Tunisians.
Yeah, definitely. That's a DNA that a lot of Africans, they don't like it when we give it to them as South Africans. But having said that, we need to give credit to Mamelodi Sundowns players. Now I understand why they are a tough team to play against, especially in domestic football. It was not easy. Totally two different 45 minutes. Because if you can look at the first half, the Tunisian, they tried to press, they tried everything based on their strategical plan, but of course it never materialized. But then when you look at the strength of key players of this team, now you have the spine of Mamelodi Sundowns that was very, very solid.
Yeah.
From the goalkeeper, the two central, Mokoena, and introduction of Obas, to calm down the smoke, and Shalulile, who maybe I can say the only coaching point that I can say, if he can work on his runs, and he mustn't lose focus because he's actually defending against Sundowns because each and every attack he was found offside in an offside position. So the least he can do is just look at the last line of defense and then move with them. Don't just stay there because you're defending against them because that's loss of possession.
Yeah.
Well, the Tunisians are dejected there, but there were a lot of soldiers on the field. And Doc mentions the substitutes. Also, credit to the coach also. He seemed to have got it right. Also from the bench bringing in the likes of Obas, Reynas and Koza.
Yeah, he needed to make those changes, Mr. Msia, because you're not really wanting to score a goal. But at the same time, you know very well that you need to consolidate the important positions. And the spine, as the doc say, was very, very vital for this Mamelodi Sundowns team today. If you look at the number of passes in the midfield, Jaden Adams was vital. Marcelo Allende, I thought he was man of the match today. You know, he ran his socks off. He was been around the pitch, made sure in possession is there. You know, when we track him back, opposition player, he was there as well. I thought he was an honest performer today. I think Mamelodi Sundowns really dependent on him to give it that energy. You know, he doesn't lose the ball easily. You know, you'll give a lot of players back into the game, and I was happy that they calmed the nerves and they used the ball very, very well.
Well, he even almost scored Marcelo Allende in that first half. Stompo. He had a Stompo-like shot there that hit at the crossbar. One of the few chances that Sundowns actually had in that first half. But Doc was saying that he likes what they're doing, that they were attacking at the right moments, Doc.
They were attacking at the right moments. As you can see here, look, only brilliant individuals that can be able to do that because clearly he saw the position of the keeper and the area that he was at. Yeah. And if you can see, he was actually short. There's a difference between placing and shooting. And the goalpost came to the rescue of the Tunisians. And now when you see an Allende there, that tells you now Sundowns are actually on top of their game. Because if you see Allende going to fetch the ball, then you must know that it's not easy for them to penetrate. But clearly, they had, I would like to say, call them in episodes. Yeah. They had times where they consolidate in terms of defensive. And then when they go forward, they go in waves. They don't go just like haphazardly. Because now, if they Allende move Ribeiro, but Mkwena, a little bit of Mfano Adams, but Mkwena will stay to give now the balance at the back because that's a second phase. The first phase, you attack. Loss of possession from transition, you have still numbers. So they mastered that very well because among our Sundowns, I don't know whether you saw it, Lompo.
Yeah.
Loss of position, they're 5 at the back.
Kept their shape.
5 at the back. So what the Tunisian can do is just to play the ball over, and they caught it. But again, we can talk about the game. Yeah. Let's give credit to VAR.
Okay, for the first time.
Let's give
VAR
but
gets
remember,
credit.
I called
You
it.
called it first
I
time.
said, no. That
You
was
called
an
it
offside.
first time.
Before he could even score, I said, no, he was off.
Yeah.
Because he was a meter, just a centimeter ahead.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, I've been in this game.
Yeah.
You know, the refereeing in Africa say improving.
Yeah.
It has improved.
No, Gaku.
Fair decisions.
So
And yeah, we want to take a look at it. Here it is.
There.
Is that ball over the top?
Yeah.
Ronwin comes out though, maybe comes out too early or not. But to be fair to Doc, he did call it as soon as it went in, even though we didn't see the replays because the production is careful. But now we'll be able to see some of the replays here and see that offside that Doc was talking about there. Ronwin, though, did come out a bit early. Were you concerned at how he came out, even though it doesn't matter now?
No. I think he, as a goalkeeper, and when you play for Mamelodi Sundowns, you need to be that extra player. And I think maybe in his judgment, he will easily look at himself and say, no, maybe I could have started a little bit higher. You know, I would have dealt with it properly. But Doggy, it's coming into the Premier League now.
There it is, Doc.
But Sheba, the ball weight bounce. Boom.
Yeah.
And already Rowan is almost like way out of the goalpost.
Yeah.
Because this man is dealing with the bounce with the 2 defenders.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Doggy, that's a difficult technique to apply.
To apply.
Especially the pass out of the ball. Because the grass is greasy now at night.
All that,
But to get that pass right, you need to be precise, like with your technique. And to get it right there, I could tell that the guys, they've worked hard on this movement. You know, there will be moments where in the match where you're in control of every department, and in this instant, I would say Mamelodi Sundowns players, they were on top of their game. They managed to deal with the young Sase on the right.
There it is,
There
Doc.
it is.
Oh,
Look at that.
Tight one.
Can you see? Now, if you look at the white line, look at the left boots of the Sundowns players. They are on the other side of the line. Yeah, now he's tramping on top of the line. So already that means the half of his body is off.
Sure.
And luckily enough, the assistant referee is in line
with the line.
And with the line, as you can see, they're being highlighted. There it is.
Sure.
Boom, offside. And I called it before.
Yeah.
There it is, offside. And I must say that it's impressive to see this kind
Well, I
of
must say it's impressive how you see it, Doc. You don't need an optometrist.
But we can
here.
see it, and then Baba Small, so they don't give it to us.
And I guess even if it was offside, we would have taken the decision, even if it was given. But good call there by VAR. But it took a while, though. Took very long, though.
Yeah, I think that the interpretation of this equipment, I think, needs to be looked at in terms of how the amount of time that they stop the game, and the amount of time that they need to make the call. Because of course, if they've got the other people who are watching the monitor, they should really make that call within seconds. And if Doggy can make that call without looking at the monitor, it means they can do that and they can do better.
And I can tell you he's not wearing contact lenses.
No.
Eyesight. Eating an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But it lets this doctor see. But there was a chance, though, with Reynas on the break here, falling for Peter Shalulile. And Trompo is a man who's scored from that range. You felt that maybe he could have tried something different. Yeah,
the technique was proper. He just need to drop it down, like use the grass, especially at night. Make sure that you use the grass. The grass now is wet, it's greasy. Try to use the ground. And the goalkeepers don't like that. They don't like the bounce in front of them. And I think if he can practice that and make sure that every time he shoot, use the ground. The ball must bounce before the goalkeeper. And I think that was supposed to be a goal. Easy.
Yeah, but no goals, no complaints.
No complaints. we go into the next.
But it's better off because that's an attempt. Any striker that gets himself in that kind of a position, yes, we understand.
You hit the target.
Maybe it's difficult for the keeper when you hit the grass cut. But then, unfortunately for Peter, he had to decide. I mean, I'm in the box, I'm in D line, 3 defenders in front of me. Let me give it a shot. We are in a critical phase. Loss of position by Peter. they eliminate probably 4 or 5. But that shot actually gave Sundowns time to
regroup.
to regroup and all that. Because I mean, he's a striker. What do we need from the striker?
Finish
We want
their
them to finish. We want them to score goals. All those things. And this is exactly what Peter did. So I would say yes, maybe he would have. But it's easy for us to say that because when you're out there, it's very difficult to think probably like that without in Sheikh Ratskat.
Yeah.
You know, anything that goes probably, what if probably he hit it and maybe the keeper to ever be it's a goal? Who would be clapping?
Yeah.
But for me, it's an attempt, and this is what the strikers are there for.
Yeah.
The hardworking Peter Shalulile. The other part that you noticed, Doc, very early on was the lasers. As soon as the game started, even though Kef has banned these lasers here from football, but
exactly, look at
we're still seeing this.
Yes, we keep on saying Esperance, Al-Akhli, Casablanca, they're the best. But this is the 4th player, I mean, 12th player. How then do you know that by doing this, you're not going to be affecting his eyes in a later stage? Because a laser is a very, very dangerous light. You know, I mean, if you go to an optimistic, we have to know.
TV.
You watch TV too much, but are you're not close to the TV. You are far. But Yabona is just that for my. But that I can tell you, Guti, that's one of the things they tell you, don't work too much on your laptop. Maybe the TV you need to work. But if they do that, then why do they call themselves the super powers of football in Africa? Yet, when they come and play in South Africa, there's no time for Malaysia. We give you Vuvuzela, that's it. You deal with the Vuvuzela, that's it.
And on that note, Hlompo, though, I think we must credit Sundowns for the discipline that they've shown and the maturity, like you said, Despite those lasers, despite the crowd and that atmosphere, they were still able to focus on the job at hand,
They had to.
And it shows you how this team has grown in experience.
They had to, Mr. Monsieur. If you look at they understand the demand of the competition. It's no longer about playing with your emotions. You need to make sure that in some instances you calmer in situations. And when you look at this, that was a disciplined Mamelodi Sundowns performance. And I'm sure they will be very, very, very proud of themselves, you know, by not being provoked by certain things outside football. Because you need that. You need those challenges for you to learn, and you can't buy experience. And those, if you remember the red cards that they took during the group stage, that was like the preparation for this kind of a match, because this is where the margins are very, very small. You know, the small margins are, and you need to make sure that in those you take care of those moments.
Which is exactly what they did. Sundowns doesn't get easier from here because there were two other quarterfinals tonight, and Al-Akhli have advanced, which means that Sundowns will now face Al-Akhli in the semi-finals. Al-Akhli 12-time champions of the CAF Champions League. We'll take a look at how they did it against Al Hilal after this short break.